and welcome to Secrets to Success. I'm your host, Oletilwe Ramashala. Today we have an absolute powerhouse, a phenomenal woman that I've looked up to for many, many years. I mean, we're talking former COO of BDO South Africa, former CFO of Bake South Africa, and the list goes on and on. And she is currently the head of business and restructuring of BDO South Africa. It's none other than Buhle Hanise. Sis Buhle?
Hello.
Such an honor to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for honoring the invite. I mean, I think it's been many years.
Yes.
I've wanted to have
We've spoken about this.
right? No, thank you
And when
so
we talk
much.
about dreams become reality today, it is, you've done very well, girl. Thank you so much for having me.
Buhle, thank you. So I'm going to ask you questions as is Angugas because I want people to get to know Buhle the way I know this is Buhle, right?
Yeah.
So I want to tap into who you are, where you come from, and your career trajectory. I want us to have as many authentic, conversations because leadership can be hard.
Yeah.
Right. So I really am trying to inspire as many people as possible. So I want to start off by saying, what inspired you to pursue a leadership role, and how did you navigate your career path to the current role that you have right now at BDO South Africa?
Sure. You know what? I always say that there's a lot of my own planning and my own dreams, but there's a lot of God's intervention throughout my life, right? I've always known that I'll be a leader. I'm a firstborn of a firstborn, and in a Xhosa family where you were a firstborn, I was very fortunate that I was a girl because the responsibilities that come when you are a guy are even worse, But one thing that I enjoyed when I was growing up was that my dad never made me feel any less privileged or anything because I was a girl. Instead, I was the one doing the garden and all of that. So leadership has always been something that was there for me to show my younger siblings how it should be done. And I obviously had my parents as examples of, what it means to actually be a leader. So it's always been my dream to be where I am. I just obviously didn't know which company, which firm, which organization I would be in, but I've always known that I wanted to be somebody, something big. And I think I still have a long journey ahead of me. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I still have a lot of things that I want to achieve. And more than anything, having my daughter changed a lot for me. Because they Google us. They'd be like, "Hey, Ma, you were at this place, Ma. You got this award, Ma. You did this." So I'm always worried about what's going to be written about me, what's going to be out there, about Buhle, because Buhle is no longer just herself. She's somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's role model, somebody's wife, somebody's mom. So I have this huge responsibility to always be this authentic person. I always talk about authenticity on my LinkedIn and also lead as such. And I've been very fortunate to have been given the roles that I've been on. And my other passion besides turning around distressed businesses is to empower aspiring chartered accountants with the African Women Chartered Accountants, which I am finishing off my term this year.
I can't believe it. Just feels like just another deal.
I know. Yeah. And apparently, I always tell my friends and people that in my was that I was a deputy, a Popeye. So people feel that I've been a president for a long time. So Uzama, my predecessor, she used to say, without me, there's quite a lot of things that we couldn't have done. Because I used to knock on doors. I used to knock on your door.
Oh, yeah.
Usase old mutuality. Please. Usase Alan Gray.
Mutual.
Now usase and I'm still knocking to make sure that bursary fund still gets the funds that it needs to be able to make sure that a person that looks like me, that comes from a Transkei, comes from Mlaz, comes from Limpopo, comes from Mpumalanga, from all over South Africa, is able to become a chartered accountant, and that's my passion.
100%.
And I turn around distressed businesses on a day-to-day. That's another conversation on a day-to-day.
And on. But I like what you said around, so that someone from Transkei, from Limpopo, from Mlaz, can then say, I too can step into your shoes. I want to touch on that because you've had an incredible, successful career, holding numerous roles. I said it earlier on, across different positions. And as a Black woman rising to the top, Sis Buhle, what were some of the key challenges you encountered, and how did you navigate and overcome them? And how do you then develop the confidence to lead in environments that may have been traditionally unwelcoming to women of color?
Women. Yeah, I did go through quite a lot. I was in an institution where the structure was flat, and I was not going to kill nobody because those people would stay there for a long time. But you know what helped me? I think my upbringing, where my parents always told me to speak up.
Yeah.
Even in those environments where it was flat, you knew you have no opportunity to become even a head of a business, let alone being an executive. Being a CEO of that business was difficult, but I never allowed that to deter me. I used to tell people, guys, I'm ready. I'm ready to step up. I remember a sponsor of mine, Base Makwan. She passed away during COVID. He used to get so annoyed with me, but I think he also, had the soft spot for me. And I would always say, every time he gave me a promotion letter, I'm like, okay, so what's next? You would get so frustrated. I just promoted it. Like, hey, well, we are still promoting me. I'm still an account manager. If just promoting me, I'm a level. I want more. I want to be where I want to be where you are. I want that top floor. And it's always been there. That was always been my ambition and my goal, to be where he was, But what helped me was to understand that for me to get there, I won't do it alone. I needed those sponsors.
Yeah.
I needed those mentors, our mutual mentor, almost a scene. I will try, all the ladies that are within the profession, those people that were there to say, Buhle, you can do it. I've got so many ladies. I've got a group of ladies currently, the Matrix, they know who they are. They've been so amazing, especially when I took over as the president of the African Women Chartered Accountants. And that's what's called leadership. Yeah. You know that you can't do it alone, because I need to be able to knock on your door when I know for me to open a door at Sana, I've got somebody.
Yes, that's
that's how I've navigated. It's not like I've got somebody. That's how I've navigated this leadership journey. But as you rightly said, it was difficult. I even experienced racism at one of my roles, where I actually stayed in that company for 1 year on the dot.
Sure.
And you can imagine, it was a woman-on-woman hate. And, I just qualified, came from KPMG, just qualified, struggled to pass my board exams. So I was on top of the world when I qualified. So when I got into this financial institution, I thought, there's nothing in this world I can't do. And then I found somebody who's just not willing to embrace a youngster who's got ideas, who's got solutions for things that they've done.
And that was an opportunity to shape and mold
me. Instead, I found a person who was just negative, happy to be in there. That statement that says, we've always done it this way. Who the hell do you think you are?
I haven't counted it.
Yes, who the hell do you think you are? You're going to come and change things. And that's the difficulty. And, as I said to you earlier, my current role as the head of business restructuring services at BDO was literally made for me to come and take over. Wow. Because this business was owned by Hans and Davy. Hans was going to be retiring 2 years before his retirement. He had a plan in place.
Sure.
Because now they merged into BDO, which is a global firm, boarded firm,
Yes.
And we form part of the advisory services. So he knew very well that he needed somebody who can also speak audit language, but also understand restructuring. And before I went to BIKE, you were a CFO, I was at the IDC, and that's what I did. And these guys were my consultants. They were my business rescue.
Look at how relationships play.
How the universe works, because that's why it's important not to burn bridges in any place that you're in. 100%. So when they were busy thinking of a person, my name popped up. And you're like, oh yes, we remember Buhle. Buhle is a CA, but also a restructuring specialist. Yes, I had already done the CFO role there at BIKE, but when they spoke to me, it sounded very interesting. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. So that's why they created the COO role that you spoke about earlier. because I was going to take over from him.
No pressure. I mean, we spoke
The
about
pressure.
this. I was like, take over from the founder.
From the founder, exactly. But it's
yeah.
been an amazing journey, but I won't lie to you, it's got its own challenges. I've had to, be present as Buhle and not be Hanse's replacement, right? I went to a conference when I started at BDO, and somebody said, "Oh, hi, are you the new Hans?" I said, "No, I'm
Buhle. Yes.
So that individuality and recognizing that you are an individual, you bring your own unique characteristics in any environment is important in leadership, because then you will always struggle if you're going to try and imitate somebody else.
That's
because
true.
then you're not bringing your true self into that
true.
environment.
And then you'll always fumble because you're trying to be something you're not.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've been very intentional. I share my team. I know they've been the youngest. We call ourselves I'm the youngest when it comes to the number of years within the business. The youngest, Chris, is 11 years in the business. The rest, 18, 20.
Well, that's impressive.
Can you imagine now
say
coming
that.
into this? People have been here for 20 donkey years and all of that.
Yeah.
Instead, now I take that
As
a positive.
Yes.
Because it means I've got a good team that knows what they're doing.
100%.
I don't have to teach them anything. The only thing that I needed to teach them was that andingohani.
Yes.
Ndingubani, ndingobuhle.
Talking
And
about
that didn't take long. That didn't take long.
So asserting yourself as a woman sometimes, I don't even want to go to as a woman of color, because that's another dynamic, right? Let's just stick to as a woman.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that you had to come and affirm, or maybe just remind people, guys, I'm not here, I'm not that person, this is me, I come with my own qualities. So what are the most critical skills or qualities that that have helped you succeed in your leadership role?
Sure. I think just being an outspoken person.
And authentic. Because you're very
authentic. Being true to myself, not wanting to imitate nobody, and understanding that I don't know everything.
Yeah.
That's something that I had to learn hard. And the person that actually taught me that was the person that employed me at the IDC, Pearl Zamband. This lawyer who's heading up work out on restructuring is busy hiring CAs, hiring people with MBAs, with different skills, with different degrees, for us to be this dynamic team that can actually turn around a distressed portfolio into a portfolio that's, that can go back into SBs, and the businesses can be turned around and they can operate profitably again. And I always wondered why. And she always made it clear that, I'm not an accountant, you are, you tell me the answer. And it clicked to me that, this girl is smart. You must surround yourself with all the skills and knowledge that you don't have. Then you will have a dynamic team that can, make things happen. And I've been very intentional about that throughout my journey as well. When I have a team, I make sure I surround myself with people that have skills and knowledge that I don't have.
That's
because
true.
I don't know everything. I might be an accountant, debit, credit. I might know that, okay, if you balance shit, I balance, it means you are in trouble. Yes. But it doesn't mean I've got the legal background. I've got the insolvency background. And that's why my team currently is so dynamic, because they've got all those necessary skills. Buhle brings in all those skills together.
Yeah.
And make something out
I think that's a lesson I had to learn. Young in leadership, trying to be everything, and my boss is sitting me down saying, we didn't hire you for that. You hire for your gap.
Exactly.
Hire for your gap.
Exactly.
We hired you for this because
this specific
you're good with this, and you're going to bring things together.
Yeah.
So that is so profound that you're saying that. That's Okay, and then can you share a moment where you faced a significant obstacle in your career, and how did you approach it? Because sometimes it looks glamorous, right? And actually, these beautiful swans. There are levels, right?
Yes.
But underneath, you are like paddling, right? For life.
Yeah, I've experienced quite a lot of those. God knows how I survived some of them. But I probably will think of quite a recent one where a boss of mine, I'm the second in charge of a billion-rand project.
Sure.
And I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of arrogance that comes with being outspoken and all of that. where the person, direct boss, just joined the business and comes in and says that I need to clock in. I'm a CFO. I'm sure those that my friends know the story. I'm like, huh? First of all, I think more than anything for me, if probably there was a direct conversation between the two of us, and he explained why he wanted me to do 1, 2, and 3, probably I would have embraced it. But what annoyed me was the fact that he sent someone to come talk to me about it. And he's literally 2 doors away from my office. That's when I thought, hey, this is not just a disrespect thing. It's got its own dynamics, and I don't think this is an environment that I want to work in. But I won't lie to you, it was not necessarily that incident that made me decide this is not the space for me.
Sure.
There was a few things. As a result, when I went back home, then I told my husband I resigned. On the spot, he was like, I've been waiting.
Are you serious?
He was
so
he
supportive.
he had been seeing the signs that my wife is not going to last here. There's been things. I'm like, but why didn't you tell me? No, it didn't. It mustn't come from me. It had to come from you. But more than anything is, you must know your limits.
Yeah.
It's important to know your limits. I don't want people to think that the message I'm trying to say is that you must leave her. You must remember there had been other incidences and issues that were building up.
Yeah.
So when that incident happened, I was like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
And God will make a way. Can you imagine what it is? I know you don't have a job. I didn't have it. I was like, I was like, this is more. This is what, you know what? I've given so much for this organization, for this person to come in and just, disrespect me the way that they did. And funny enough, when I made that decision, there was nothing heavy on my shoulders. There was that relief. That relief.
Yeah.
And that release that said, Buhle, you're doing the right thing. So I've experienced quite a lot of obstacles, but I think that is one from a leadership point of view. But Ole, I think it's important for me to touch on this one because it's something that we don't talk about. Failure.
Yeah.
Throughout your journey.
Yes.
Something that's very, very critical for us to talk about because people usually want to give up. I struggled to pass my Part 1 board exam, so I talk about it. And I always encourage. That's why it was important for me to give back to the profession so that I can tell the stories and encourage Amanda Goti. When you've got this dream and a goal of wanting to become a CA, don't give up. Part 1 board exams, I passed 4th time.
Wow.
Right? And I'm not ashamed of it. It was part of my journey.
It is.
Right? And recently we've seen our results have also dropped again from a psycho point of view, especially Part 1. And I know this is something that I also experienced. So when we're sitting as stakeholders, as the council, as the board, as psycho executive, I was very passionate about it to say, guys, we must never give up on our people.
Yeah.
I am a statistics.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah.
If we need to navigate things, we need to change things, let's do it because we want these youngsters not to give up to become CAs. And what carried me through that journey when I was doing my article at KPMG was the fact that not everything was bad. So I was good at my work. I had a sponsor. I had somebody who, encouraged me, a lady called Norinda. And she used to talk about me in rooms that I was in there that, guys, do you know that Buhle is struggling with a board exam, but you know that my audit file passed review because Buhle was the audit manager or audit, I can't remember what the terms were that we used those days, audit supervisor, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Because Buhle did my planning document, Buhle did this, Buhle did that, Buhle did that.
Sure.
And that motivated me to always wake up and push.
Yeah.
Because in everything that we do, don't look at only the negative because I know you can get stuck. Oh my gosh, I'm not passing, but you don't realize. And how I navigated that difficult time was that actually the work that I was doing during my articles helped me to be able to pass my board exams because that's what I was being tested on.
Wow.
On what I But for some reason, when you're studying, you want to just be a bookworm and look at the book and
not
text,
like
and not apply
the practical.
practical. It took me a long time,
Sure.
fourth time, for me to navigate that. But also more than anything, I think my parents' voice and the wake-up call that when I had a phone call with my dad was, Buhle, can you remind me, why did you want to become a CA again? And that aha moment, when Oprah talks about aha moments,
where it just clicks.
I'm like, this was nobody else's dream. This was my dream.
Yeah.
So in everything that we do, those obstacles will always be there. But why are you there? Nobody put a gun on your head and said, Hamba, we'll buy CFO. We'll buy. You wanted that role because why? This was your dream. Whose dream? Nobody else's. Not your parents, not your kids, not your husband, not your friends, not your partner. It was your dream. So it must always go back to that.
100%. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So I know balance is almost a myth.
Is there such a word?
Is there such a word? Because I think they look at say she's a wife, she's a mom, she's a leader. How do you just
board members serves the community? Yes.
How do you do it? How do you find and strike that balance of being authentic, being a strong leader rather, and just striving in your industry?
I'm apparently supposed to be a person that talks about balance a lot because I am born on the 4th of October.
Oh, nice.
So you know most Libras.
My mom is born on the 2nd of October, so I know.
But there is no such thing as balance. You strive for it. Always. I don't remember a time where I can say I had it all figured out, ever. But now, what helped me throughout my over 15 years, working life, actually almost 20 years working life when I think about it. Wow. I have always understood that I can't do it alone. If I can afford the support, I'll outsource. If coming here today, I've been sick for over a week, almost 2 weeks. I just said to my husband, today in India, yes, I'm having a podcast session with Ole. Can you please drop me off?
Yeah.
Because I'm still not 100% asking for help.
Yeah.
You're not everything to everybody.
Yeah.
That's something that I had to learn earlier on, but a little bit late. Because I could be here, rushing off to a function, speaking engagement in the evening. That's what used to be my life. I used to never understand the word no.
No, yes, because you just say yes.
Yes. It's because you're trying to develop yourself. You don't want to break this other person's heart. You don't want to disappoint this person, but it's important to say no. It's important to say, please help me.
Yeah.
It's important to have support structure. I don't ever stay without a helper at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I do not make that mistake. I've got my family members. My sister is in Pretoria. She knows if I have to travel somewhere, Mas is at the mine at work, she must come work from my house because Fifi has to be taken to school. Right? I've understood that sometimes I have to put the helper in an Uber to go fetch. Yes? And the thing is, we want to do everything. I can't have an au pair. I can't have a driver. You can't do it all.
Yeah.
You are just one person.
That's true.
So the balance is up for me. It's about always striving for it, getting the necessary support that you need. There's certain things that I'm still figuring out. But no, asking for help has been the biggest thing.
That is so freeing. I must be honest. That is so freeing because when we're looking from outside, and I've been privileged to have a lot of mentors where I see Buhle has an au pair, has an helper, has a driver, has a... Because,
you think you can do it too.
You can do it too. Because often I think women... pass on opportunities because they're thinking, I want to start a family, I want to do this. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think, I know if I was just a stay-at-home mom, I would drive everyone around me insane because I've got so much energy.
I know.
It's going to be like, so it's very freeing to know that, no, outsource. There's nothing, there's nothing wrong with that.
And the thing is, we're not like our parents. We grew up close to grandparents and all of that. I was fortunate when I had my daughter. My mom was still working in Pretoria. So that support was very important for the 3 to 4 years of her life, which was amazing. But Mona, they had this community. Remember, Kokstwa, your child is brought up by a village.
Yes,
that was true. Practical in our old homes, the Eastern Cape, KZN, wherever. Yeah. But in Joburg, it's
not so easy. Yeah.
The parents are in the Eastern Cape, both for us, for me, for myself and my husband. Sometimes they have to fly up
so that they can help.
They can help.
Yeah. I must say, I still have my parents' mom. My dad's retired, and he's always like, "Hey, I did this with you. Now are you like, I don't know. Who's gonna help me, Daddy? Who's gonna help me?"
I know.
So I honestly, I was with my parents. They both retired, so it helps a lot when I'm flying and stuff, and I'm away for a week, come back for 2 days, I feel it again. But you know what? I've learned to sort of also try and be present when I'm home and have
the quality time
for the whole day. Exactly.
Quality time. But also, it's important to also fly out, not because of work, to fly out because we're taking care of you. So that's what I do. I do that. Once a year, I give a week, either a few weeks before my birthday or after my birthday. Wow. I go away with friends, alone. Sometimes I just want to be away. Just 5 days. It's not a lot. Just to wake up from your hotel, what's for dinner, what's for lunch, what's for breakfast. You adjust to you're just doing something, That's also important. And you don't have to fly. You can go to a spa where, there's spas where you go for 2 days, 3 days. Yeah. You do something.
Fill your cup.
Yes, fill your cup. Just take care of self.
Yeah.
People have to find ways that will make them feel whole again.
That's so true.
Right?
That's so true.
Yeah.
So let's come back to leadership and the role it has, right? How do you approach building and leading diverse teams, and what role do you see diversity playing in organizational success?
It is such a broad term, right? And it comes with its own challenges and difficulties depending on the environment that you're coming into. So as I said, for instance, in my environment that I'm in at BDO, with my team has been doing what they've been doing for a good number of years. I'm not just going to come in now and disrupt.
Yeah. For the sake of
disrupting because I want this diversity, I want transformation and all. You do it gradually.
Yeah.
Bringing me in on its own for my team was its own diversity because this was a, male
dominated
led team, but as much as my team is mostly women, the leadership was guys and white men, and I'm not ashamed to do that because these are guys that have been in this industry for many years.
Yeah,
attorneys / lawyers who've been in the restructuring space for many years. Now, part of my journey is to make sure that I don't miss out on an opportunity to bring in that young talent. Yeah. I regard myself as that young talent that is brought in. Yeah. Right? Now it is my responsibility to ensure we've got that young talent. One thing even if I can't do it within my team, one thing I do is when you're restructuring businesses, what's nice about it is that you actually create a project team. Sometimes I can't do everything, so I have to bring in my valuations division within BDO, my tax division within BDO, and I'm very, very sensitive about that, making sure that the diversity that I bring into my team is the team that's going to make it a winning team to be able to come up with a solution to save this business. So I'm very cognizant of the fact that my current team might need that level of diversification within, but also externally. So you don't just focus on, okay, now I have to bring in more, maybe like people,
you need to
more
do
young
what
people.
makes sense.
You need to do
at the right time.
At the right time, things will change. But for me, to also give my team an opportunity to understand that they can't do everything themselves as well. That's why we will also outsource a specialist. For instance, the other day we were getting an opportunity in a company that does frozen foods. I don't know nothing about frozen food, but I know how to turn around a company that's struggling.
Yeah.
Right? So
Sure,
then I'll go bring in a specialist that even somebody who's retired. That's also diversification.
Then they can consult.
They can consult.
Yes.
Or also I'll bring somebody who's running their own business that understands what this company lacks.
Yeah.
And that's on in my mind. Some level of transformation and diversity.
Wow.
So you have to look at it in a broader sense that comes within what's needed for the business.
Lovely.
And it doesn't need to be forced. It must be done organically, naturally.
100%.
So that everybody's receptive and you have got a winning team.
100%.
Yeah.
So speaking of, you always been around male-dominated industries, males of color, etc. That is normal corporate South Africa, right? So have you ever dealt with imposter syndrome? I know I certainly have, and still in some instances, I'm not going to lie. If it's something you've encountered, what advice do you have for others that are struggling with the same thing? Self-doubt, yeah.
I wonder if, I don't know, I'm yet to hear somebody who doesn't have self-doubt when they're starting on.
Can I be
on a
honest?
new
When I look
journey.
at you, I'm like, this lady.
I Joga, I
She's
can
very
wing it,
confident.
but inside I'm like, no. Chico, what have I done? Why did I say yes to this thing? What do I know?
Yeah.
And you know the one thing, and it's not even in my working environment. It was with the African Women General Accountant. First week, my appointment is announced.
Sure.
Then one newspaper calls me and says they want to interview me. First question, what is your legacy? You? I just got this role. And this is something that I actually realized, even though people have never asked me this question, it's always been something that I have put pressure on myself on to say, my goodness, I've just gotten this opportunity. What is going to be my stamp?
Yes.
What will be Buhle Hanise's stamp? Right? That's imposter syndrome in a way, if you think about it. Because you've got this,
Like I must.
why? You worried you've got this stress because you don't want to fail, you don't want to disappoint people. You want to leave a legacy that, somebody else will carry on if you're not going to be there for forever. But at the same time, you want to make a good impression.
Yeah.
At the same time, you want to be able to say, sure, I'm so proud of what I did there.
Yeah.
That on its own puts a lot of
Of it is imposter syndrome. Wow. Yeah. Pressure
on your shoulders. You feel it.
Yeah.
And I got so annoyed. I was like, I legacy. Already, it's my first day. It's my first week. You already. But others, I think actually, good thing. It was a good question because then it woke me up to realize in every place that I'm in, this is something that's important.
Sure.
Leave the fact that now this is a professional organization. I obviously have to leave something that people will say, oh, Shemu Buhle, when she was the president, she did this. Oh, Shemu Buhle, when she was the head of business restructuring, she did this. But I don't come into an environment and I want to disrupt.
Yeah.
I come into an environment and I learn. Yes, and look, I was a sponge and absorb.
Yeah.
Then then I'm very good at picking up in a gap. Then I'm like, oh, how do I feel? This is something I can actually leave as my legacy. This is something I can help with. I don't want highball. This is good operating model they've got. Why must I disrupt because now Buhle is here? I allow the processes to flow. Then if I see something dropping, then I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
This is where I will add.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we would usually do. If you remember, when if you come and ask for sponsorship from you, we'll always say, this is the value add. This is what we bring, and that's important. I love the fact that you raised that because in everything, even in relationships and friendships, you must add value.
That's true.
You can't just be there, what is taking.
Because people will see right through
bring
you.
something to the plate. Bring something, doesn't have to be significant, but achieve.
That's true.
That's what Subu said. It's not, I don't want to be somebody else. I want to bring in something that you will know that I know Buhle will be good at this. Even with my board sits, I can't be, for instance, I'm finishing off at insurance end of the year. One of the things, with insurance companies, you must have these people understand actuary and they know me. Yes, financials I will look at because Buhle is good at.
Yes. That's your special.
No, that yes. And in my life, I was in credit risk. So Buhle must be known, but also was a question about this audit.
Yes.
I must ask questions. I must know.
Yeah.
They must know that if we've got a new auditor coming in, they must know Buhle will cover all the questions.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she's good at.
Yes. But not the other.
Yeah, don't get you. So you don't want to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't want to do everything to everyone. Just know what you're good at and see your opportunity and grab it. And you won't know it within the first 6 months.
I am absorbing so much, Buhle, trust me, because I had that,
Yeah.
which is a form of imposter syndrome, actually. You come in, you're given a new role, you want to say, why you deserve, you're right. You know, the fact that there's that drive of what am I going to do, it is a form of imposter.
It is.
And it's what you're saying is like, no, but things that are working are working. When you'll identify gaps and then add the value. It actually reminds me of a book. So when I joined Sanlam, I went to my former boss, Malus. Yes. And I was like, okay, what advice, what book can I read? Like, you know. Yes. And he actually said the first 90 days. For the life of me, I don't know who the author is. But that book saved me because it says exactly what you're saying, Buhle. Be a sponge. Yes, be a sponge, be an observer, understand what's working, and then don't come as a leader who just disrupts, just, tries to take, because then you need people to follow you.
Yeah, and also trust you.
And be able to trust
Exactly.
you. Because some people, the things that you may think, why are you not doing this? I'm going to, they're thinking, we've tried that 3 years ago, but because you came with that arrogance, then they're like, let's leave. But if you come with that, okay, I was trying, and then when you advise and people are like, no, we tried that, this is what didn't work. And it saves you a lot of, so there's
implement things
slowly
but surely, you will get there.
100%. So you and I can go on and on and on. I've got 3 more questions for you, right?
Nice.
What sacrifices have you had to make along your journey? And how, we've touched on this a little bit. How do you balance your professional and personal life?
Yeah.
What sacrifices, let's lean on that one, have you had to make along your journey?
Sure, I can only think of, when I was doing my CTA, I used to be this homebody, always close to my parents, always close to home. For me, my priority was I want to become
a CA,
right?
Good for you, actually.
People always laugh at me when I talk about this stuff. And my life became, this one-stop shop of every day I wake up from my flat, I go to school. So there was a program, part of Tutuka program. They created this National School of Accounting, which was an amazing opportunity. That's why I think it always made sense for me to give back to the profession because of all these, initiatives that, for instance, SAICA did. I stayed in Cape Town for an entire year. I saw my family once.
Sure. That's a sacrifice.
I saw my family once, and the only reason why I saw them was because my uncle passed away, my mom's brother.
Otherwise, you're not going to see them.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen them because my life was, I had to sacrifice so much. But you know why? Because I knew it was not even 12 months. I think it was a 10-month course. Wow. I knew that I wanted this so much. Coming from a previously disadvantaged university, I knew this is it. My parents are now, my sister is at varsity. I can't now still be asking for money from them. My parents obviously did
what they could. Yeah.
And I never lacked anything. But I had this bursary. I wanted to prove it to myself that I can do it. And the sacrifice was around that there was no social life. There was a friend of mine, also Nambondiki, in Cape Town. Every time I finished writing a test or an exam, he would always take us out. He would always take me out with my friends because, he understood how critical it was for me to concentrate on my exams. That would be the only time I would have a social life.
Sure.
After writing that exam, because we would rush on a Saturday.
Just like what?
Yes. We would rush on a Saturday, have a good time, but Monday we were back at it.
Wow.
That was it. Monday to Saturday we were studying. And actually, funny enough, now, even as much as I think I sacrificed, I actually gained so much. Because the people I started with, they are now some of my closest friends in the profession and in my life. And they've been, those rocks.
Was this 21?
It's actually
so I know you.
Vincent was actually one of them because Vince was just chatting just before we finished off the year. And I said, hey, my friend, you know what? I want to go to Joburg. Where are you going to do your articles? I told him, I'm going to be doing them at KPMG. I said, I'm interviewing in PE. I think it was EY or somebody or Deloitte. I can't remember. And then he said, let me organize you an interview.
Wow.
And that conversation only reminded me that actually I never wanted to do my articles in the Eastern Cape. I wanted to do my articles in Joburg.
Yes.
So all my dreams, all the conversations I used to have with my dad came coming back to me. And I was like, it actually does make sense because my mom is in Pretoria. So, and the universe, as they say, and the God's intervention, I told you about it, that came through. I came and I did my interview with KPMG. So the confidence I had when I was going into that.
Wow.
Even going back to my mom's house, she was like, how was it? I said, for sure, that's mine.
Are you serious? You've always been.
Yeah, I was
that
like, I aced that interview. And you see, that's part of life.
And I think I've been practicing a lot of mind power and stuff because they say you must see yourself there. Yes. You must envision yourself there. Then it happens, right? So I guess when you walked into that interview already, you were like, this has got my name.
We forget. But that's why I'm saying that God's intervention is so important.
That's true.
And I'm grateful for because
that's true.
There's always going to be that reminder about, actually, this is something I wanted.
Yeah.
This is something I dreamt of. This is something I wrote on my diary. This is something I put on my vision board a long time ago. But then because life goes on, you forget.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 2 more. And then we're almost done, unfortunately. But what role has mentorship and sponsorship? I think you've touched on it with AWCA, etc. And I think, Buhle, I've had the privilege of knowing you, and you're such a giver, and that's what keeps coming back. Yeah. As much as you've been asking me, you've been plugging me as well. Half the people I know that I had to be in front of is because I'm calling you and saying, I need to be in front of the CFO of UCT. Do you know? Don't worry, that's my friend.
Yeah.
But what role do you think those relationships play in your career and have played till today? Yeah.
They're so important. Hey? I don't even have words of explaining how critical and important they are.
Yeah.
The big sisters,
yes.
the big brothers.
Yes.
And I was a daddy's girl, and also ended up having a lot of my mentors in my young age. I didn't realize they were mentors then. I didn't have a definition for them. Those big brothers are still part and parcel of my life today.
Yes.
Actually, I even forget that we're not blood related because they've been there. And then I came to this, and I entered this profession, and I found such an amazing woman.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Such an amazing woman. And I was wondering, where does this myth come from that says women don't support each other? I don't know.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I obviously had my experience with that lady when I was at that bank.
That we all mention right now.
Right?
Yes.
But all my life, I've just been surrounded by so much love and so much support, and I'm so grateful. I think,
and you're obviously paying it forward.
And I do, and I think
AWCA.
because I've been privileged so much. There's so much support from other women, from other men. I've been sponsored by men. I've been sponsored by women.
Yeah.
Now I'm still close to my ex-bosses.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. Because I still have coffee with them. They're not upset that Buhle left, but I left for good reason.
Yeah.
But they knew Buhle delivered.
Yes.
Right. And then the sisterhood. My God. People will just, Cindy or the tries of this world.
Yeah.
Aboles who opened doors for us, go AWCA. Okoko's Pamela, one of my big sisters, Shamla Chetty, Charmaine. These are my sisters. And then I don't take for granted my friends. Hey, my friends have been very supportive.
Wow.
From a sisterhood point of view, they've been amazing. They check up on you with a circle of friends, and I learn so much. They make me become go-getters. I've got different types of groups. I've got so many friends. I know people always laugh, but I can't have them in one room. I think I only had them in one room when I was getting married. Yes. But I can't have them in one room. I just want to spend time with them individually in this group of friends. Yes. There's this group of friends. How much are you earning? Ooh, we are still there.
Are you serious?
You are late, Jonga. They wake you up. They're like, "Hi, Sister Tina, at this bank we earn this much money." I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Then you're like,
I'm
"Hey,
playing games.
Mandy,
I must wake up." You know, I've got such amazing friends. About Jabu, Pagama, they always would at me say, "Are you still earning that much money?" I back part.
Wow.
You know, and I love that. Then there's friends who will make sure that, you know, Buhle, because we know this is something you're passionate about, they will encourage you to do that. You know, they support me with my journey, whether I'm sitting as a board member in this big JSC listed company, or I'm sitting as a community server, the AWCA, or I'm sitting as a head of business restructuring. They say, Buhle, there's an opportunity there, go after this person.
Wow.
The fact that people always think about you when they see something, when they see an opportunity, when they see a gap somewhere, they think Buhle will be the right person. So I've been very fortunate.
Sure. And I still bring it back to the fact that you've been very fortunate because you do it for others.
I do.
You've done it for me.
I
know you. You've got a big heart, and
I'm
that is
very
why things
intentional.
just keep coming to you. Lastly, Buhle, looking back, what is that one piece of advice you wish you had received earlier?
Sure. I think what we spoke about earlier, saying no. People do a due diligence on you. I've learned to do a due diligence on the other person, on the other side. Because you will be so shocked to find out things when you do a due diligence before you say yes to an opportunity. You might see a company doing so well, being in the news, doing this, but if you go and drill down, what is the culture of the business?
Sure.
Only to find out that these people have been changing people over
Oh,
and
yeah.
over again.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because the culture doesn't fit with you.
Yeah.
The principles don't fit with you. Do you know how many times we want the nicer things in life,
But not at the
expense
of your health, your mental,
exactly, of everything. This I learned from my ex-boss, Jeff Cleaner, at IDC, which I've used to say, if you're going to a committee and you want to put a person in a delinquent register or something, you know, because obviously now I was dealing with distressed businesses. I'm like, this guy didn't pay us. We're not going to give them more funding. He will always ask me, do you want to be on the front page news of Sunday Times this week? Sure. Do you want to be there? Because they will say, as much as they're going to say IDC, they're going to say the account manager is Buhle Hanise. Do you want to be? And that thing, I used to not understand it. But actually it helped me because I always think, hey, do I really want to buy when our daughters to Google us? They find that Buhle was involved in some scandal.
And
Buhle was
always
and one thing, the truth will always come out. That's one thing I've learned. You saw that guy that they were bringing from London that was involved in corruption and stole money from ESCOM.
Yes.
Billions and billions of rands, right? How many years later? It will always come out.
It will always come out.
So that's why it's important to do your due diligence. Make sure you're saying yes to a place that you're comfortable. Make sure you're saying yes to a business partner that you trust. Understand their values, their principles. Do you have the same values? Because if you don't, there will come a time where you will clash.
I love that.
Due diligence. It wasn't only be done on you. You must also do it. Whether you're going to sit there as a board, you are just serving, it's just a non-profit. No, do it. Check if this is the place that you want to be in. It might be popular. And go drill in. Because they also interviewing you. And
yes.
You must
and
also interview them.
They know why they chose you. So, wow. That's so profound. Thank you so much, Buhle.
Thank you.
Finally had this.
Yes.
I am truly honored and grateful. Thank you so much for honoring the invite.
Thank you so much.
Well, you heard that was Buhle Hanise on what it takes to have a seat at the table. You heard it from her, the power of learning to say no. And most importantly, aligning yourselves with companies that have the same value as you. For more episodes, make sure to join me on Secrets to Success with me, Oletilwe Ramashala.